So my name is Kevin Watkins and I'm Executive Director of the Overseas Development Institute in London. We're actually living in incredibly exciting times for education. If you look back over the last 10 years, we've seen dramatic progress in getting children into school in a lot of the world's poorest countries and in some of the most difficult environments around the world. Countries like Afghanistan, Mozambique, Tanzania, India, all have made dramatic strides in education. The challenge that we face today is to maintain the momentum and finish the job. We made a pledge to the world's children back in 2000 that we would get all children into school, into a decent quality education by 2015. And we're now 2 years away from a broken promise. There are 57 million children who are still out of school. These are some of the world's most disadvantaged children. They're living in conflict areas in the Democratic Republic of Congo. They're working down mine shafts in countries like Ghana and Tanzania. They're young girls who are being taken out of school into early marriage, into forced marriage. They're children who are living in informal urban environments, in slum conditions. And it's these children that we need to turn our attention to if we're to deliver on the promise. Now, the good news is that we know what needs to be done. We're not talking about rocket science here. We're living in 2013 and we're talking about a challenge of simply getting children into a learning environment, an environment in which they have a chance to realize their potential. And we know that if they don't get into schools and they don't get decent quality learning, the disadvantage they face will be lifelong. They'll end up in less secure livelihoods. They'll earn less as adults. We know if they're young girls and they don't get a chance of education, that their children will be 2 to 3 times more likely to die than children who do get an opportunity for education. So education matters. And if you talk to any parent in any country in the world, they understand the value of education. You talk to a parent in France or Britain or the United States, they want what's best for their children. And so do parents who are living in refugee camps in Sudan. So do parents who are trying to bring up children in informal slums in Kenya or a city like Mumbai. Now, what we need to do as an international community is to get behind those parents and give their children a chance. And that means many things in many different countries. But it means for the international community to take seriously the commitments that were made back in 2000 to get all children into school. At the moment, we're living in a period in which governments are making very bold statements. Donor governments are making bold statements at the same time that they're cutting their budgets for education. Now, from an efficiency point of view, this is the worst thing you can do. The returns to investment in education are incredibly high. So for donors to cut off that pipeline of investment is extremely damaging. It's holding back, it threatens to hold back the country. It threatens to destroy opportunities for individual families. But we also know that it's not just the international community that has to do things different. It's developing country governments themselves. All too often, these governments will stand up at international meetings and talk about the right of their poorest children to an education, and then they'll operate budgets which skew resources away from the poor and towards the rich, away from the most marginalised areas of their country and towards the richest parts of their country. Now, this is something that needs to stop. Governments need to line up their budgets on the principle of equitable spending in order to meet the needs of the most marginalised children in their country. I firmly believe that it's possible not only to get all children into primary education by 2015, but it's feasible to target universal secondary education by 2030. The high-level panel report in which the UK government was centrally involved made this commitment that no child would be left behind. The hard truth is that many children are being left behind, and we need to stop that now.